You guys have a busy weekend ahead. So here we are almost crossing over into Saturday morning. It's very late on Friday night, the 15th. I wanted to do a quick little review of college football and also talk about the NFL survivor pool pick to go through the list here. I'm not going to do too much analysis of these games per se, as much as we are looking for the survivor pool pick of the week, because I did mention earlier in the season here that I would be providing one survivor pool pick, the winner, all the way through the season to see if we can not lose at all and do what we did a few years ago, get this to work. But let's go over college football real fast. So, three games tonight. We won two of them. Maryland beats Virginia. Texas San Antonio loses and Air Force wins. Our projected scores are just miserable. I mean, we think it's going to be 16-15 Texas San Antonio. They lose 29-37. We think Air Force is going to win 17-14. They win, but they win 39-21. These scores are all over the place and not right. So even though we've gone 3-1 so far this week, I don't like what the scores are doing. And all these lines were terrible. They were all home teams, and you get an upset with Army upsetting UTSA. Now, what about tomorrow? We take a look at the list and we see what we have for tomorrow on here. We do think Liberty beats Buffalo away. They're way up here. I think they'd win by 11, but our points are not great. We also think that they have a really big margin here when we look at our algorithm win percentage. So Liberty, Rutgers over Virginia Tech, minus 275. I talked about home underdogs in the video I did earlier in the week. There's this Houston over TCU, Charlotte over Georgia State, Mississippi State over Louisiana State at plus 290, and UNLV over Vanderbilt at plus 460. So those are on here, but college football, just be very careful. It's still not really working yet. We're testing it out. So let's go over to NFL, which you really want to talk about. So yeah, it's a busy day tomorrow. We're going to be out and about. We've got youth hockey and stuff to deal with tomorrow. I'm going to be driving around a lot. So I want to try to get this ready and email this out to everyone that's subscribed. But week 2, just take a look at how scary this week is. You're looking down the list. So what we're looking at is we're looking at this by last season's stats here. That's what I'm using because it did better on Thursday night. It makes sense to use last season stats because this season stats are so limited. So as we look at this through last season stats, we see that it's got Atlanta on top over Green Bay. Well, we know we underestimated Green Bay because they have so many new guys. So when looking at last season stats, let's not make that mistake again tonight or this weekend. Let's not do that because we had Chicago number 1 here beating Green Bay because we just didn't have enough of a roster for them. So we still know the algorithm's missing players on Green Bay when it comes to last season stats. So this is not a number 1 pick. This is, I don't know who's going to win this game. So it's not going to be Atlanta or Green Bay. Is not going to be the survivor pick. The Giants away against a bad Arizona team. The Giants looked so miserable against Dallas that I don't know how in your right mind you can say take the Giants on here, even though you'll probably want to be going against Arizona a lot this season. So because it's still looking like a bad team, even though it's on here by last season's stats, still it's too sketchy in my opinion. So don't like that. Detroit supposed to beat Seattle 29-20. It's still Detroit. They barely pull one off. They do beat Kansas City. They're at least at home. They're minus 210. It's a possibility. I just don't really like it all that much, which means it probably wins. Don't ever go with my instinct. Then you have the Patriots over the Dolphins. Does any of this look good? Buffalo over the Raiders at home seems like a win, given that they're 0-1, a tough loss to the Jets. Raiders are an okay team, but on the road, not as much as Buffalo at home, right? Buffalo was at least in New York. So this one is screaming survivor pool pick. Because they are at home, they do have the worst line. So this would kind of be consistent with what the odds makers have. I do feel more comfortable with something like Buffalo at home. Houston over Indianapolis. Houston is somehow favored as well. Wow. They're at home. Commanders and the Broncos should be a close game here. It says the Commanders can win, but it's too sketchy. I think we're saying Buffalo. The only thing I'm confident telling you is Buffalo. It's got the highest win score percentage based on last year. They're at home. They played okay against the Jets. The Raiders are also okay, but the Bills are probably going to beat them at home. So I'm just going to stop right there and say that the survivable pick is Buffalo, simply because all these other things up here, you had a loss, and Green Bay won, and Detroit is still Detroit, although that's probably a reasonable survivable pick also, as Detroit is probably actually with Montgomery running for them. There's a reason why they beat the Chiefs, and they probably beat Seattle here. But I'm going with Buffalo as the algorithm's survivor pool pick, simply because it's so early in the season. We want to go, as reliable as possible. And when it comes to teams winning when you need them to, Buffalo does that a lot more than Detroit does. So we'll just go with that. Any other picks? Oh yeah, I wanted to show you what it looks like when you go to current season stats. So, all right, so we're going to highlight everything where it said they would win based on last season stats real fast. This is the only football video I'm doing for the weekend. No private video. I don't have time this weekend, guys. There's too much going on. And week 2 is really, really tough to predict. Really, it's almost more difficult than week 1, it seems like. We switch this to current season stats. We refresh here. Refresh. Now we refresh here. And it moves the Chargers to the top of the list, saying that Tennessee really is not a very good team this year, apparently. So it does do that. Detroit is once again still on top here. You can see Buffalo moves up a little more to 3rd. Patriots are still up here. So when you see these teams in yellow, these are confirmations in both simulations that these teams win. Was it really favoring Kansas City over Jacksonville? Wow. But it's way, way, way down here. And this is way down here. So you want to keep this up to where the projected margin of victory is greater than 4, which means that, yeah, of course, you had Philadelphia on the wrong side of this as well. It means these 4 teams is what it's saying. So if you're doing a 4-team parlay or round robin to win, these lines are not awful, but the Patriots are an underdog against Miami, surprisingly enough. But it's these 4 that are confirming on both sides if you listen to the algorithm. So it's Chargers, Detroit, Buffalo, and Patriots. I guess I'll go with that, with those 4 on a round robin. And the rest of the stuff is a lot more suspect. I've probably bet on the Commanders because I'm a Commanders fan. I definitely root for them to win. Notice like almost no points in this game when you're using season stats, but last season is going to be more predictable. So we're going to refresh one more time just to glance and double check. Because like I said, this is the only video I'm doing here. I'm not trusting Atlanta. And I'm not trusting the Giants after as bad as they were. Not doing it. But apparently you're right. Detroit, New England, Buffalo. Here you have Washington. And the Chargers keep popping up there. Chargers pop up there with a 3-point win based on last season's stats. So there's about a good 4 or 5 in there. Wanted to get it out there, but got to run for this weekend. So no more football updates until we review all the scores and review college football and review NFL later into Sunday. All right. Good luck, everyone. May all your picks be winning. Go Buffalo Bills, survivor pool pick of the week for week 2. Good luck. May everybody be winning.